Well, hey there. Good evening. It's Matt. And yeah, I think I'm more or less settled in terms of what my overall media thing is going to be. I feel very, very, very good about my decision to end Instagram a few days back. The more I think about it, which isn't much, the better I feel, which is a lot. So that's all good. I really put my face into the computer, metaphorically and literally, I suppose. Today, I put out probably 30 job applications anyway. So there's going to be like a lot of people looking at like roofing and dishwashing kind of roles, right? And they're going to be going, this guy is putting out a 9-page resume, a 9-page CV, because I don't know. I just figured put it all out, right? I don't want to start to turn a 9-page CV for me into a 2-page CV just to kind of get a temporary, dishwashing or janitor kind of job. It seems like it's more trouble than it's worth as far as that goes, right? So I'm not trying to minimize, my very honest, very sincere intentions here in terms of the legitimate work search. I have been scoping out post secondary all over Canada. I've been scoping out training and development all over Canada. I'm just putting stuff out all over the place. LinkedIn for sure, but then also through Indeed.com. So I mean that's just 5, 6, 7 hours a day. That's what I'm doing, right? Because if I don't do this, I feel like I'm going to be seriously putting myself in a position of precarity more than I already am, which again has pretty direct ramifications for my children. So that's all to say that now that I feel that I'm about where I should be with the job search stuff, I mean, I've gone as deep in most of the areas that I'm even qualified for as possible, right? Including the dishwasher and janitor and roofer kind of stuff, which I'm actually less qualified for than the academic stuff at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Um, what I figured is that really, I mean, I've been laid off three times in as many years. Each of those roles was supposed to last longer than it did. Thompson Rivers was meant to be tenure track, and that just completely did not happen. Similarly, with the Commissionaires of Canada, that was meant to be a permanent role. Part of why I moved across the country, right, for that job. And that lasted less than a full year. And now, again, right, a 2-year contract signed, causing me to move yet again across the country of Canada to Fort McMurray, Alberta, right? It got turned into a 1-year contract the day after I submitted my grades for the winter semester. I know it was out of financial exigency. I'm at the point where I am opening myself up to whatever the universe may provide, right? And I'm none too particular about the kinds of work that I do. Um, Personally, rewarding is probably secondary to financially viable, and financially viable is probably secondary to just the gut instinct on a thing relative to the community at hand and relative to just the kind of work. I've determined that I am in no ways prepared to stress myself out for a role that exceeds or is at the very limits of my professional capability. There's no possible interest in distending my own sense of well-being for a day job. I can't, I won't, I refuse. I've done it before. It has not worked out advantageously for me. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. In terms of like, an academic professional kind of role, if I'm being honest, my real preference would be fully remote, doing something cool, and that I could travel with if wanted to, right? And hopefully get paid, compensated at the level. I would even take a decrease in salary. Not that job searchers are or job what recruiters are looking at this, but just putting it out there, right, for my own thinking, right, to clarify, I suppose. Flexibility, hybrid arrangements, and fully remote, such as post COVID 19, are for me extremely compelling. And again, in terms of academic kind of roles, this whole notion of like, compiling an academic dossier and getting like three letters of reference written from people and just like all this really, really like just intensive documentation, to get into a role which at the end of the day, you get compensated about as well as a manager in the civil service, right? I feel that the academic endeavor is significant. I feel that I could make a contribution in that area, but sometimes just the way that these positions get framed, it's just like, you know what? I will definitely deselect myself from this just because the run up to it. I am speaking now as somebody who's spent more than their fair share of a day looking at academic and professional websites, right? So this is all very interesting to me. My dad, Bob, the highly awesome Bob Stranick, he, during my teenage years, right, during my, yeah, basically square my high school years, he went through a very significant period of unemployment. And that's public record. I mean, it happened. It was the 1990s. It was a long time ago. We got through it as a family. Bob's doing awesome. He's had a really awesome, legit career with the Federal Public Service. It just so happened that during the majority of my high school years, he was without a job, and I was living with him, single dad kind of situation, right? As a teenage kid, and I remember that really distinctly. And now it's interesting to me that I'm sort of going through this similar kind of what employment destabilized kind of era. Three layoffs in 3 years. I mean, that's like just something. That's something that is, well, what? Just when you think you kind of got something at a level, the thing shifts out from under you, right? And it is what it is. I mean, a lot of this is just broader cultural stuff writ large. A lot of this is just like, Trump economic times, because again, the whole paradigm of trading freely on the North American continent, and indeed globally, has just been deeply unsettled. Part of the reason I'm glad that we have a former Bank of England and Bank of Canada governor as our current PM guy. May have got the job title slightly off, but I think that's the dude's lineage, Carney. Anywho, this is all 8 minutes in to leading up to the PayPal button. I figured that with a PayPal business account, I am able to place that thing, the link to the thing, where people can donate freely to support legitimate independent media. Because I mean, really, I got a pretty high imprint on these WordPress based websites. There's not really too much in terms of social media following that goes along with it, right? If we're talking about the writers on writing, if we're talking about what used to be Today New Brunswick, Tomorrow the World music podcast, if we're talking about the currently on hiatus, significant Ed Non-Tech podcast, and then there's just these kind of other various sundry kind of one-off media things. I did an entire WordPress site called I don't even remember what it was called. It was just from a few months ago, basically trolling tabloid websites, right? Um, Hello World, I think that's what it's called. It's just sitting there on a web server. I know for sure people have looked at it. It's on a WordPress server. It's just so. I mean, I don't know. I can just put a beep boop PayPal button on it, and maybe some culturally generous person or entity just decides, you know what, I'm going to throw this guy $10 or a Lamborghini or something. I'm taking Gen Z kind of what viral marketing stuff, I suppose, and trying to kind of fit it into my kind of gnarly aging out Gen X standpoint. That's okay with me. Young people pave the way. Young people are the future. Anything to do with being a celebrity influencer, I think, just reeks of stupidity and cultural desperation. But I mean, if there is any kind of interest in just sort of these broad cultural activities that I'm involved in, then I mean, I don't know. You have to kind of get into this whole like, paid posts and stuff, ecosystem in Substack. As an educator, I don't know how well that sits with me. I may get into some of that because God knows I've got a drawer full of weird cultural artifacts, same as a lot of people that I could do that with. Part of me just thinks, man, I can just sort of give people the opportunity to contribute vis-a-vis a couple of PayPal clicks if they feel like it, as opposed to getting into this whole, I wonder if this will be a free posting or a monetized posting or this and that. A lot of my practice as an ed tech specialist and kind of theory kind of person, pretty legit practice, got to say, is I just keep thinking to myself, simplify the interface, right? Minimize the amount of clicks, minimize the amount of websites or apps that you use. Try and keep it all relatively on point, relatively on brand. And so, again, to that end, I think that having a PayPal button just kind of as an entry point to anybody, sober or otherwise, I don't know people's mental states, I don't know people's intentions. It seems like a pretty clear cut way to just go, well, I am an unemployed English teacher dude. I am definitely looking at every kind of work that I possibly can. This just seems like, well, I'll put a thing on the internet that people can bump or not, right? Anyway, this is 12 minutes of video that I don't know that people are going to watch all the way through. I don't know if I would watch all of this all the way through, but there we go. I feel like rationalizing a PayPal button is not a terrible way to spend, I don't know, 12 or 13 or 14 minutes on a video this evening that's going into a web based ecosystem of sorts. Following the monetized content, thinking like a Gen Z, stay ahead of the algorithm. Man. Anyway, appreciate you all. Take care and hopefully see you sooner than later. Bye for now.